Communications Commission, NCC, has reportedly extended the deadline for the linkage of subscribers' identification models, otherwise referred to as SIM cards, to the individual subscriber's national identification number, NIN. While the NCC disclosed that 47.8 million subscribers have so far linked their SIM cards with their NINs, reports across the country say the exercise is becoming overwhelming for the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, who are the statutory commission mandated to establish, own, operate, maintain, and manage the national identity database in Nigeria. Observers also point out the prevailing COVID-19 pandemic, especially the second wave spike, which may not allow large crowds to gather for registration, as one of the most important challenges towards a H-free SIM card and NIN linkage. What is the situation? Does NIMC possess the capacity to handle Nigeria's large population, especially in the rural areas and the IDPs? This edition of Platform examines SIM card and national identity number linkage amidst COVID-19 challenges. Our guest is Engineer Aliyu Abubakar Aziz, the Director General and Chief Executive, National Identity Management Commission, NIMC. With more than 30 years of post-qualification experience in engineering and information technology in both private and public sectors, Engineer Aziz holds a bachelor's degree in civil engineering. He has a master's of science degree in structural engineering with specialty in computer-aided design from the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria. A pioneer staff of NIMC, he was the Director, Department of Information Technology, National Identity Database, and was appointed DG CEO of NIMC in 2015. He is currently serving his second 5-year term as Director General NIMC. Engineer Aliyu Abubakar Aziz, welcome to Platform.
Thank you for having me.
If I remember very well, you were on this program on the 19th of September 2019, so you're back again. So it's good to welcome you.
Thank you very much.
Of course, our regular panelist, Ruth Aguele, is here.
Thank you very much.
Engineer Abubakar Aziz, let's begin from the update, current situation. What is really going on with respect to the issue of linking the NIN and the SIM cards?
Well, there are many stakeholders involved, as you rightly mentioned earlier, the NCC, the telecom operators, NIMC, and also the general public that are involved in it, and of course you, that is making the sensitization about the issue. So far, NIMC has been enrolling, as you know, since February 2012, and by now we have around 46 million unique identities of individuals. And also, as you know, that we have been changing from being regulators and operators to only becoming regulators in the identity sector and allowing the private sector and other public organizations that are involved in data collection to carry out the operational aspect of registration.
Well, NCC just announced the extension of the deadline, so a lot of Nigerians and generally subscribers who own mobile phones will not get their phones deactivated as a result of non-linkage.
Ab initio that there were two different deadlines. The one was for people that already have their NIN, then they don't need to do anything, they don't need to come to NIMC, rather they can use the mobile app or just send their NIN to the telco.
So those who already have their NINs, what is the deadline for activation?
Those are the ones that NCC updated to say that it has been extended. That is the policy of federal government of Nigeria, and NIMC or no any other person have something to say about that.
Well, but as an operator and regulator, you can tell us, and of course, a computer expert, you can tell us whether it is feasible or not.
Well, the point is that you have to look at so many other variables. So it's not only time. You look at the scope of the work. You look at also the cost aspect of
let's discuss them one by one.
Being
the
done.
Variables. How many are they? The scope. And of course, maybe capacity of NIMC
for experts,
in terms of equipment.
For experts in project management, then they will tell you that you have scope, you have time, you have the budget, then you have quality, and then you have the human resources, and also you have communication, and then the procurement processes that are ongoing, and then the integration of everything that is happening. So those are the variables that you have to look at, not only to look at one aspect. Just overnight, everybody becomes a project manager and is looking at only time element. But these are the other things that needs to be looked at.
So let's look at the budget and the human resources.
Yes.
Is NIMC adequately prepared? Does it have what it entails with this?
Well, all along, NIMC told you that we want to leave the field of operations and become a regulator. So in terms of regulation, we are really adequate. But in terms of operations, that is why we came up with the ecosystem. And the last time I came here, we dealt with the ecosystem so that all the telecom operators themselves will have to now start capturing this data. And that is what we are integrating. We are in the form of that integration. So if all the telco centers, which there are more than 15,000 in this country, all of them are capturing data, and then the queues that you see will all be eliminated. And also if the private sector, more than 200 licensees that we have given license are also up and doing, then the pressure will reduce and you will not see, and everything will just.
So what it means is that with the ongoing pressure, it means these telecom operators are not doing their job.
Well, no, I cannot say that they are not doing their job, but they have been doing their job selling SIMs, but they have not been doing the other aspect of their job, that to make sure that the people that are given SIMs are properly registered. And with SIM registration, if you know, started way back in 2010. And it's only NCC that will tell you the progress that has happened in that aspect.
I just want to get a clarification. That's for registration of NIN for individuals. Now, NIMC had pledged some months back that they want a record, they want to upscale the record of enrollment and issuance of the NIN to 2.5 million per month.
Yep.
And so far there's been progress from your records. Now, is there going to be a stop to the registration of NIN? Just for clarification.
Well, just to me as an operator, when government gives directives, then we go ahead and start to do the work. And we have been doing that between just last month and now, which is not up to 1 month, we have added more than 3 million records. So we'll go back to government, and also there is a ministerial committee that will also sit from time to time and consider all the parameters and go back to government and said, okay, this is what we have done. So, but majority of people thinks that once that you are given an assignment, then you should be complaining or blaming other people rather than to try to do the job. So what we are doing is that we are doing the job.
Okay, but why I asked that question is because of the pressure. You know, a lot of individuals feel the pressure, the time frame. If you want to look at the population, and from Kudu's introduction, the COVID-19, the second wave is there. We're seeing the crowd, and we're seeing the numbers of cases. What is NIMC doing in terms of ensuring that people comply with the protocols?
Well, as you know, there are two two kinds of section when you get to a NIMC center. There is the internals of the workings of NIMC, and also there is the external. In the internals of working for NIMC, we have been given the protocol and approval to follow these protocols. All of us have been with this COVID for now how many months? The protocols did not change, and we have been applying those things inside NIMC. What you see is outside NIMC. Majority of the people that will come, they may not even wear the mask. They will keep the mask inside their pocket, but before they enter NIMC, they must wear their mask. And also, we follow the protocol during, while they do the exercise, and also when they leave NIMC's environment. So whatever happens outside, it is the collective responsibility of the individuals and also law enforcement and us too. So, and we've been preaching this and asking people to really follow the COVID rules.
Do you think because of the large crowd, even though you said before they enter the precinct of NIMC, they now put on their masks? Yeah. Since they are outside and they are there to essentially get service from NIMC, don't you think there may be the need for you to get extra support, maybe from law enforcement or for other regulators to monitor the adherence to the COVID protocols?
That has been ongoing. We always ask the law enforcement officers for assistance, and they have been providing those assistance. When you see wherever that the crowd is becoming rowdy or whatever, sometimes they open our gates just to relieve the pressure and then ask them to now follow the rules. But there are some that are outside, far beyond the control of NIMC.
Okay, and I'm sure you will know that a lot of people are still playing ignorance to the importance of getting this name. Let's not even get to the rural communities for now. Let's even look at the urban centers. A lot of people don't see the need for this name. How important is this? Okay.
Well, first of all, the name is the foundation, is your identity. And you only need to do it once, and it is for life. And it is the foundation of every nation. It is, in fact, one of the elders told me that it is actually the heart and also the veins of even the economy of every nation. So wherever you see, and also in this 21st century that we are talking about digital economy, it is also the foundation of what we do. So that is why we came up with an ecosystem approach, whereby all other government offices that have been capturing data too should be able to capture the data so that the pressure will be reduced. And I understand that most of those private sector that we have licensed them, they are on high gear to commence operations in the next 1 or 2 weeks, and therefore the pressure will really reduce. But the NIN is compulsory by law, so, and therefore every nation that you talk of, they have something similar. If you talk of the US, there is the social security number. In UK, there is the national insurance number, and all other places too, they have a unique identifier for every citizen and legal residence in that country. Yeah, and that is what we've been trying to achieve.
To control and reduce this crowd, wouldn't it be necessary, or is it not practicable, to use the BVNs that already exist in the banks?
We have been harmonizing. Part of the mandates of NIMC is harmonizing and integrating all these disparate databases. And the ones that we've been harmonizing, working together, I mentioned it even here, that is with the CBN BVN data, and we have integrated up to 14 point something million records of the BVN. So some people already know that if their numbers start with 222, that there's probability that they are part of those people that have already been harmonized. But the work is still ongoing. It has not been concluded.
So in other words, you don't have to go register for NIN. It's just going to be linked with your BVN?
If you register with BVN and you are part of that 50 million that has been harmonized, there's high probability that your data has been harmonized with NIMC because we follow similar standards.
So how would the individual know? Let's say, for instance,
well, the individual simply need to do *346# on his phone number, and if he gets the response of a NIN, then he knows that he has already been given a NIN, but the person needs to come to NIMC to update the data, because we collect different sets of data between the BVN and identity, and once that data is updated, then it's available for verification and authentication services. And then the telcos will be able to see the NIN to link it. But if the person have not come to update the data, then he may not likely to get that service done.
If for now you said you've already harmonized up to 50 million or registered registered 15 million persons in your NIN.
Harmonize 15 million
from the BVN
records.
Yeah, what exactly now will you say is the projected population of Nigerians that you are looking at in terms of NIN registration?
No, we don't work with projections. We work with the unique individuals. Therefore, it is what we capture that we count, and we have been reporting that in 2015 we had 7 million, and 2016 we doubled that to 14 million, and 2017 we've doubled that to 28, and now we are at 46. We will always report the exact number.
Were you able to do anything in 2020, because that was the period of COVID?
Yes, of course. Of course, we have. At the beginning of January, we were enrolling for JAM, and the moment that we stopped that, then we started enrolling for visa, and immediately the COVID started. We have stopped enrollment for some times, and there are so many economic activities that were happening that requires the NIN, and therefore the PTF have given us approval. And also one of the major development partners, the World Bank in particular, also gave us a lot of the COVID items to then allow us to carry out our own activities.
Well, the last time you were here, you mentioned this World Bank support that you are expecting.
Yes.
What is the situation now?
Well, as of December 2020, the agreement has been signed, so we have now entered the implementation mode, and we believe that, and then there are also other things that are required, like the data protection law that will be in place. And once all these are in place, then you will see a lot of the activities. But even before that too, our action minister have already licensed some private sector to commence based on the government budget to carry out this activity.
What is the quantum of money is the federal government through NIMC now expecting from the
in the 2020-21 budget, there is specifically 6.5 billion naira that is specifically for data capturing, that is in NIMC's budget. But as you know, the total of the facility from the World Bank is $433 million.
And how much have you gotten now?
Not yet.
Nothing is released yet?
Nothing yet.
Because NIMC is yet to do its part, or federal government is yet to do its part?
Well, because we have not commenced the implementation. All structures that the steering committee is in place, but we need project implementation unit also to be in place to to commence the implementation of the program.
Who is going to be responsible for that? The Federal Ministry of Communication or NIMC?
All the stakeholders, the steering committee, which is headed by the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, and also the NIMC, and also the World Bank itself.
Okay, let's look at identity management. Just recently, we saw illegal centers spring up. Some were shut down in Kano. How can an individual ensure that their data, if we're having situations like that, my data is well secured in the hands of NIMC?
Yes. Well, you should always check, okay?
How?
The first thing that you will check is that to check the NIMC website, whether that center, that address is also on the website.
Okay.
You know, it's the same thing that even when you are linking to, if they send something to you to say this is from MTN, it's better for you to go to the MTN website and also check that it is there, not just to take things at the face of it, because there are many fraudsters around, and also the law enforcement agencies will also go after those ones.
There is data sharing, of course, because you mentioned earlier that part of NIMC's mandate is harmonization.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of data sharing, what is the Commission all about with other agencies?
Like when I mentioned that we have been harmonizing with the central bank's BVN, then it has to be that the BVN itself have to follow certain standards, and also the data protection law, and also, you know, even currently too, even before the law, we have data protection regulations from NIDA that needs to be followed, and also there are international certifications that have to be followed. So all these things are being followed by NIPS before we were able to exchange data together.
Have you?
So,
okay,
yeah.
go ahead.
So once that the corresponding government agency or a private sector follows those rules, then we will be able to share data and make sure that it is on safe hands. But the owner of the data is the citizen himself. The citizen have to go to a place before, like now, linking the SIM. Is the citizen that will go to the telcos and said, yes, this SIM is mine and this is my NIN to identify me. So once that happens, then the citizen, we can then trace. The citizen can also give permission. That is the one that gives this permission, so that you have these cybersecurity guidelines to follow.
You know, something just crossed my mind now, since you're talking about harmonization of data sharing and all of that. The National Population Commission, the census is about to, you know, commence. Right now they're at the stage of enumeration and demarcation of areas. Is there any, you know, collaboration, like sharing of data with the NPC, so, you know, it could make the job easy, because it's all about count, and that is your job, data collection.
Exactly. So if you look at the act that sets up NIMC, and then you look at the composition of the board, you'll see the National Population Commission as also part of that. Okay. So, and we have been working together. So, and the condition is that when this census is happening, when they go to ask the person, they will ask the person the NIN of the person when they are doing the census. It is a prerequisite. So that is where the connection is. So then they don't need to capture biometrics of the person if the person gives the NIN. If the person does not have a NIN, then they will now capture the biometrics of the person and the basic data that we have agreed and sent to NIMC for the NIN to be generated. Again, that is the ecosystem that we've been talking about, that all government silos have to work together in order to achieve the objective, because it is the single citizen that we are talking
So
about.
is that why we understand just a few days ago some officials in INEC are reported to be saying that they will consider using the national identity number as a prerequisite for voter registration?
Well, if you look at, again, the NIMC Act number 23 of 2007, actually clause 27 says that you need the NIN for the following services, and it is very, very clear there. It mentions that for you to be in the voters register, you must provide your NIN. So it is the law, and it's also part of the recommendations of the presidential committee that have to happen. So it's part of the law. It's the enforcement that we've been talking about.
As a data protection expert, tell us the, if you like, the potentialities that are derivable from having NIN and with respect to the voter registration. Will it go a long way in reducing criminality, issue of underage voters, things like that?
Well, as earlier I said, it's a prerequisite to enter the voters register to obtain a NIN, and it's also the INEC registration of the current registration too. There is a NIN on the form that they will ask you for your NIN. So what we are saying now is that if you have the NIN, you provide it for INEC. If you don't have the NIN, then INEC will enroll you and send your information to NIMC and generate this NIN and then continue with their own service. That is what the ecosystem is all about.
Yeah, but you've not answered the question. As an expert in data management,
okay,
the relevance of using the NIN to generate voter registration.
Yeah, well, these are the benefits have been there. That first of all is it will show that it is the unique person that is in the National Identity Management System is the same person that is in the INEC register, and it will show that it's the same person in the voters in a driver's license. It's the same person that owns this passport, and it's the same person that owns this bank account. So it definitely. So for all other countries, we have seen the elections in the U.S. and what the social security number plays, the role that the social the security number plays, and that is what we expect to also do. That it would definitely minimize all the mischief that has been happening.
Well, a lot of these services appear to be a little bit elitist. So what contingencies has NIMC and other stakeholders done to really bring up to speed persons in the rural areas, persons in the IDPs, and even those who, if you like, are just on the field, for example, nomadic Fulanis?
Well, the one thing about identity management, you understand, is like a just cause. It is inclusive. It is for every person. It is only one. It is one unique number that is given, and there is no discrimination whatsoever. So in coming up with the pricing, so it varies between 300 naira and 350 naira, and we said the 300 naira is for urban areas and the 350 naira is for rural areas because of the effort, additional efforts that have to happen to get to those rural areas. And apart from that, also the system is a performance-driven system in such a way that even if all the private sector companies decide to capture only in the towns, then they will soon finish the people in the towns and they are bound to go to the rural area to capture. Otherwise, there will be no business for them.
What of the IDPs?
IDPs, we have already had a program. Last year, the minister comes up with a policy which was approved by the federal government, and we have already assigned license partners, and they have already started capturing this data, and it is ongoing.
But you're very much aware that people in these rural communities and even in the IDPs that are in the town with us, a lot of people don't care. Is there any, sensitization program going on to educate these people to know the importance of it? Because not everybody can go online and do part of the registration and then come physically, but to even convince them is one task.
Ruth, you don't underestimate the people in the rural areas.
But it's the reality.
They are also wise enough. They know the importance of registration. They know the importance of their services, like they know the importance of their telephone numbers. They also know the importance of their children going to school and whatever. So they really know, and usually they have contact with government and whatever their leaders, their local leaders.
I was going to ask you
they
about
tell them, then they carry out those things. So, and part of our program is that a lot of sensitization, even what we are doing now too. And when we talked of the 9 points, also we talked about communications. That is very, very important and vital. And we will never stop to do that until the last person is registered.
Because only recently, people begin to understand the importance of getting a NIN. Because you want to get something here, this agency, you ask for your NIN. Your driver's license, you ask for your. So a lot of people are just getting to know the importance of this NIN.
Yeah. So it has been part of the law that has been set up. And as I mentioned earlier, Clause 27 mentioned that for the following services, you need those things. And in 2017, we also come up with regulations and captured everywhere all the things that are required. And we also publicize this. But as I said, Nigeria is a big country, and also publicity will never stop until the last person is registered. And we have been also partnering with NOA, with the radios, Federal Radio, and NTA, particularly in all those government media, to make sure that this communication happens.
Tell us the rate of success with respect to the nomadic Fulanis or nomadic persons generally in terms of NIN registration.
I will not know, because as I said, the NIN does not discriminate. It doesn't know who is who. And after all, even the data that we capture for the ecosystem, we reduce it from 83 to only 11 fields, and it doesn't have anything to do with the tribe of the person or the religion or whatever it is, just identification. The face of the person, the fingerprints, and also maybe maximum the iris of the person. That is what we do.
Now let's use the latter part of this program to talk about NIMC as a regulator.
Yeah.
What is the scope and operations of NIMC with respect to being a regulator, and who does NIMC regulate?
Well, like we have just licensed more than 200 agencies, and we are to now regulate them, and then so that they will be able to carry out the front end aspect of our work, which is principally the registration of the people, and then sending to NIMC to generate the NIN and send back to them. So
you have just licensed. What was the requirement before an agency is licensed?
Well, in 2019, we have had elaborate publication that we publicize in more than 10 newspapers. We were to do it in only the requirements, 2 papers, but we did in 10 papers. And the requirement was for only 2 weeks, and we gave 8 weeks, and we set out everything that is required. In addition, we also carried out
Tell us those requirements. You are on television now.
Okay. Well, the requirements, first of all, a company have to be a registered company with the Corporate Affairs Commission. And also it must have a part of its own MEMAT that it should be able to capture data. Then it has to be a tax-paying agency, and it has to also register with NIDA and also register with NSTF and PENCOM. All these statutory requirements, those are basic requirements that all serious companies must have, and they must have it 100%. So those companies that we listed are the companies that have passed 100% those things. And that is where you will know serious companies from the unserious one. And we have selected those companies, and it's not only main companies, but also SMEs, small companies, and even startup with less regulations on them, so that they can all. It is, as I said, it's an inclusive approach, and it is a foundation that we are building, and it's inclusive for everybody. And this is a service-oriented perspective that is useful to the citizen, not really to NIMC.
You see, NCC is the regulator for the mobile telecom operators.
Yes.
So NIMC is regulator for companies licensed by you to register individuals for NIN.
For NIN.
So how do you go about this regulation? Because 200 of them, what are the operational guidelines that you follow to make sure that the information these companies generate are genuine, and they just didn't sit down anywhere and come up with data?
Well, our systems are designed in such a way that you, first of all, in such a way that we license the equipment. We also license the agent that will carry out those things, and that payload, that registration, will come from that source. We make sure that it is encrypted, and it cannot be decrypted anywhere until it comes to our own place. And if anything else comes, then we will not even see it, not to talk of using it. And that is the basic principles that is being applied in this particular case. But the telcos will still be under the purview of NCC, and we relate with NCC and also give them a super license, so that they can now take care of the people in their own sector. The same thing with PENCOM. Also, we have license. We have given a super license to PENCOM, and all of the PFS are under the PENCOM. And then all the state governments too have been also licensed, so that it is a public and also private sector affair.
So as an expert, why do you think NCC is not able to detect that these telecom operators sell SIM cards to individuals, or generally Nigerians who require or demand for them, but do not capture the required data of the individual?
Well, I believe that is question for NCC, so you can invite them.
Yeah, it's question for them, but as a data management expert, you can tell us the lacuna.
Well, lacunas can happen anywhere. That when you don't have an oversight of what is happening at the point of the capturing. But as I said, we will use the technology and register every device and every agent, so that we can monitor what is happening. And I believe that in that other exercise, that kind of purview was not on the radar. So we are all learning from what has been happening, and I believe that it can be improved.
And talking about improvement, what about E-Enrollment? I know there's a certain registration you do online, then you still go physically.
Yes.
Are we going to get to a point whereby you still do everything online? You don't have to go?
Yeah.
Because I know NIMC is trying to reduce the burden by creating more centers, but that's more in terms of...
Well, in all the places whereby that you do everything just by yourself, then they have something in the foundational information. Like say, if I have foundational information about your birth record, I have information on your school. So somewhere I have also your picture. So if I ask you to take your own picture, you will now send that your picture to me, and then I'll compare with what I have, and then allow you to do certain things that I know that you are the one that is doing it. But in Nigeria, we don't have those foundational data. So therefore, and also we need to also inspect what is happening. Therefore, we separated the demographic data. You will not put those things, your name, your address, and whatever. But when it comes to the biometrics that makes you unique, then even in the US or UK or whatever, or wherever it is, or when you want to get a visa in the US embassy, so you have to go there and then capture those biometrics data, and that is the standard so far, and that is what we are continuing to use.
But you also agree with me that it can be challenging in terms of infrastructure, the right equipment, provision of all of this. That's a challenge if we're looking at the funding to provide all of this. I know that NIMC recently just set up about 20 centers more in Abuja. Is that going to be extended in other states also?
No, those centers have been available, you understand, all along. So, but people have been deciding to come to only the headquarters. So we decided to now push them to those centers. That is what has happened. It's like people do not know about those centers, but people, some knew. So that is what happened. So the point, as I said, that all data capturing government agencies and also the private sector that has been licensed will have more centers so that we will have relief on what NIMC has. And also we said we reduce the data that is going to be captured to only about 11 fields so that we don't capture all this cumbersome other data that may even create some discrepancies.
The last time you were here, you mentioned the production of cards, that's the national identity cards, and you made mention of logistics, which is a challenge. Now, people are made to pay certain fees, to collect their cards. Now, for someone who registered in 2012 and still has not collected a card, is there going to be a reproduction of those cards? Because some of them, the cards has expiring dates. So,
well, if you see even the latest directives or reminders is that link your SIM with the NIN. That is the national identification number. No one says link it with card. Okay, card is an added advantage, but the fundamentals, as we said, we realize even in the US, there's no national ID card in the US. It's social security number that can be given to you on paper. So if that is what happens there, so why should we be always talking about card? Meanwhile, we have not yet enrolled people and given them this number. So the whole of the ecosystem focuses on enrolling people and giving them the NIN. Card is only an added advantage.
So does that mean at some point you stop the production of the cards?
At some point also we will also engage the private sector to carry out this activity, which is an optional thing. But the most important foundation that we need to build is to get everybody to get this NIN first.
So even if the card expires and one has his NIN, nothing's spoiled.
If you have your NIN, that is, your NIN does not expire. Your NIN does not expire. Anything else expires, but your NIN doesn't expire.
So going forward, these few minutes that we have to round off this program, NIMC must have learned a lot from the operations and now as a regulator. And you are serving your second term, of course. That means you've also gathered a lot of experience and knowledge as the operations move on. So what will you tell us will be NIMC's target with respect to the World Bank project, with respect to its mandate, and with respect to fulfilling the aspirations of Nigerians in terms of NIM?
Well, the work of NIMC is a just call, is affirmative. Everybody says that yes, it is needed, and it is also inclusive, that and is resilient, and also service oriented in the sense that it is helpful to the citizen. Therefore, our focus is for everyone. Everyone that is in the soil of Nigeria must be enrolled and be given this national identification number. That is the goal and mission of NIMC as of now. Then there will be so much added services that will come on top of that foundation. So our focus is on that foundation. And once that what we have seen that this foundation is not in place, then at any time something else will come up again, and we have to get back to that foundation.
Well, what do you hope to see change because of your experience? This is your second term, like you said. What do you want to see change to make it more easier? I know it's not an easy task, but what would you hope to see
and
change?
hitch-free.
Yeah.
Yeah, as I earlier again says that I look forward to all the telecom operators, all their centers capturing data of people and sending to NIMC to get the NIN. I look forward to seeing immigration office capturing the data, even at borders, and sending to the national identity database. I look forward to driver's license doing the same thing. I look forward to when you go to your PFA, will also do the same thing. I look at the banks already. NIMS have all what it takes to do that. That is what I look forward to, and I look forward to that. Everybody must have their own national identification number.
Okay.
Engineer Aliyu Abubakar Aziz, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us the various responsibilities, particularly the regulatory responsibilities of NIMC now. But just a last word, do you think there's any need for some improvement in the enabling law that established NIMC, especially now that you're a regulator? Just a few words.
Well, every law is a living document, and of course there are many areas that needs to be improved upon, and part of the process of is also to renew. And the law, as you see, is already this is the 14th year, so it's high time to also review the law.
Yeah, have you identified any specific provisions?
Well, there are many, but there are many provisions that needs to be updated.
Are you working towards that?
Sure, we are.
Engineer Aliyu Abubakar Aziz, Director General, National Identity Management Commission, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ruth.
Thank you very much.
Ruth Agwele.
Thank you very much.
As always, thank you. Platform examined the ongoing federal government's directive for the linkage of mobile subscribers' SIM cards with their national identity numbers, NIN. Our guest, the Director General, National Identity Management Commission, Engineer Aliyu Abubakar Aziz, says NIMC, whose mandate it is to actualize this activity, is equal to the task. That's Platform. I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.